Hey, welcome to Hope Rescue Podcast. I'm Tim. This is Kimberly, and we're glad that you're with us. We're on a kind of a serious topic, and that is boundaries and margin, how to have boundaries and margin. And I think this is the third episode in this series.
Makes me think of a line, why so serious?
Why so
Because
serious?
this can get intense.
It is intense, but
yeah.
I think it's helpful to our listeners.
I do too.
So
I wish I would have
trying
heard
to bring
this.
some levity.
I wish I
levity
would have
to
heard
the
a
situation.
series like this, honestly, as coming in out of junior high, because I think it would have changed my whole life's experience. But
Well, why don't you get us up to where have we been?
the
on this?
overreaching theme is boundaries. We defined the difference between margin and boundaries, and then we moved into what toxic people look like and how they act and react and how to protect yourself and boundaries from toxic people. And then we dove in a little deeper, which is why I got really serious, into the concept of gaslighting, which hopefully by now you have a better understanding of that. If this is the first time you've jumped into the show, Google gaslighting and you'll get a quick definition.
Or just go to our previous episode. So was it episode 21, 22, and 23 are on boundaries, and that'll give you some insight on that. But I want to share with you a passage that is a little frustrating. You ever try to get Jesus to do what you want him to do? So in John chapter 11, I won't read this story because it'll take too long. So let me tell you how this goes down. He's got a friend named Lazarus. Lazarus has two sisters. They are very close to Jesus. They are Mary and Martha. Mm-hmm. And we see a lot of them in Scripture. But Lazarus was really sick. Mm-hmm. Jesus was away from Bethany where Lazarus was sick, and he's with his disciples. Well, the word comes that Lazarus is sick, and Jesus, you ought to get there. Mm-hmm. And so he says, come on, get there. And the messenger says, you need to come. And he says, no, we're going to stay here 2 more days. The disciples are like, what are you thinking? Yeah. And Jesus said, well, you don't understand the purposes. This is according to the will of God. This is something that is going to be for God's glory. Well, they have no idea what he's doing. And isn't it interesting? This is a side note to boundaries, but isn't it interesting how we try to get God to do what we want him to do?
Sure.
And in our time.
Yeah, twisting his arm.
Right. So Jesus says, nope, we're going to hang here for a couple of days. Then he comes to where Lazarus is sick. But before he gets there, Martha meets him out in the road. Mm-hmm. This is all, as I said, in John chapter 11. And she confronts him, like you ever confront Jesus? But she had the nerve to do it. And she said, if you would have been here, my brother would not have died.
Right.
And he responds,
I've got to drop some lasmataz on this situation. Watch what I got.
Lasmataz?
Yeah, he was about ready to drop a miracle.
Lasmataz.
Yeah, some lasmataz.
Did you just make that up? Lasmataz?
Yeah.
This is very creative.
Oh.
Let's please move on.
It's a big moment that he had planned according to his will. And
it's a lasmataz.
She's being whiny, and he's about,
watch
this lasmataz
Let me get my
happen.
Bible and look for lasmataz. Anyway, so lasmataz. So he gets there, she confronts him, and he immediately responds by saying, wait a minute, do you believe that I'm the resurrection and the life? And he who believes in me, even though he dies, shall live. And she said, of course I do. And then she refers back to the one day there'll be the resurrection of the dead and so forth. And then he goes in to where Lazarus had died. And Mary confronts him the same way, same words. So obviously these two have been conspiring against Jesus. If you would have been here, he wouldn't have died. And then so he responds to her. But back to the disciples, they said, well, wouldn't it be better if you go? I got to go back to where. Wouldn't it be better if you go and, made him well because he's sick? And he said, no, this is unto death. Mm-hmm. And they said, what do you mean? He goes, no, he's going to die. Mm-hmm. And they're totally misunderstanding. Mary, Martha, his disciples. So anyway, he gets there. And when he gets there, he begins to minister in a way that really brings glory to God. And he raises Lazarus from the dead.
That's the lasmataz right
That's
there.
the lasmataz. Yeah. Of course it is. I should have known that.
Yeah.
But here's the reason I shared that is because people have influence in your life. There are people that are on your team, and there are people that are not on your team.
Right.
So it's this two-team concept.
Yeah, and I feel like it oversimplifies our relationships. It's sort of an us against them, and that's not really the point of this whole topic.
No.
It's to understand who is for you, really for you, and who are those people in your life that speak life into you, that encourage you, that are there to cheer you on. They're there to catch you when you fail or fall. And then there's the others. Okay, so those are the ones that tend to be the life takers and versus the life givers.
So just like you said, there are people in your life that are not helpful to you, and you need to create boundary from them.
Sure.
But in doing so, and this two-team concept, we need to be very careful to understand this two-team concept is not about choosing who you will love.
Or who will receive your love.
Yeah, who will receive your love.
Yeah.
But it's really about who are you going to put in your life real close and those you're going to put at a distance. And if you don't do that, you are going to be worn out. I have people in my life that I love very much, but they're a drain on me. And why you laughed.
I'm just not going to make eye contact right now.
I might be that person sometimes, right?
No, I was thinking me.
Oh, no, I'm not thinking of you. You're a 3+er, and they'll know what that
How come
means.
I didn't make it to 4?
There's no 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're the top. So let me break this down. I developed this. I was really struggling with this idea of those people who have minus impact, like a negative impact, and those who have a positive impact.
Benefit.
Yeah, benefit. So I created an idea. I played sports in high school and college. And so I see this through that grid of sports. And in every sports, there's 3 people that I'm going to mention. And Kimberly and I have both taught on this. And so you have on your team and on the other team, there are cheerleaders. Those are the people that cheer for their team. There's teammates. Those are people that invested in working with the other team or working with your team. And then there's a coach.
Right.
And the coach is very strategic about planning for the win.
Right.
Now, think about people in your life that are all about your win. They want your win. Those people are on your team. Then there are people on the other team. They're about the other team's win.
Yeah, and let me define those real quick.
Okay.
The opposing fans is kind of what we'll
Yeah.
talk about. The opposing team, rather. The opposing fan is cheering for the opposing team. Their impact is a distraction from your game. So sometimes people can just be a distraction from what you have in front of you that are your greater values, your greater priorities. The opposing players, they're actively undermining your game. Their impact is a loss of vitality and undermining you. So it can be a drain to you. And then, of course, you have the opposing coach, which is working strategically to stop your game and is totally interested in his own win. The impact results in the destruction of your life. So that's obviously a very extreme version, but we do have those kind of individuals who are actually out to get you.
So what we'll do is we'll have I'll take this chart and we'll get it to our producer and see if we can
great.
get this on the wherever we put those things. I know where we put them on our website and so forth. And then you can see this chart. But I kind of want to go over the chart. So let's talk about the people in your life that are positive. So what I see, and I'll kind of describe this as the best I can. So the people in your life that have a plus value, they're an added value. There are 3 types, as we said, the cheerleader, the teammate, and the coach. And you kind of described the negative side. Those are below the line. So the line is the line of encouragement or vitality. When someone drops below the line in your life, they are a drain on your life. When they rise above that line in your life, they have added value. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the added value. So you have somebody in your life. You are this to me. You are actually all of these to me. And that's a great way to have marriage.
The opposing fan and the cheerleader?
No. Just the...
Depends on the day.
Yeah. So no, you are always on for my win, and hopefully you see me as
Absolutely.
your win.
Yeah.
So, and the idea is, unless we're fighting, and then I'm for my win and you're for yours. But setting that aside,
It could happen.
it could happen sometimes. Anyway, so you have people that are fans. They're cheerleading. They're not really involved, but they are spectators. They're
Sure.
just watching what you're doing
From
and
the
going, "Yeah,
sidelines.
go
Yeah.
ahead, go
Yeah.
for it." There's added value, but
Sure.
not a great deal of value, because they may catch your vitality, they may catch your vision, but they aren't invested in that. So they encourages, I would call this a plus value. Then there's teammates, and those are the people like you in my life.
Right.
You
Vested
actually,
participants. Yeah.
and more is the longer we've been married, the more we are teammates. We
Yes.
work together.
Yeah.
We play together. And so the beauty of that is
Wrestle.
we
Is that awkward?
wrestle like it's not awkward for us.
We're talking
Might be
about
for our listeners.
We're talking about the team, right?
Yeah, we're talking about the
Wrestle with the teammates.
Yeah. So that person has that is a teammate. They are actually in the game
Yes,
with you, so they've
right.
got skin in the game, so to speak, and they share your vitality. They don't just catch your vitality as the cheerleader, but they share your vitality. And what I would say is they have a
Double
times
value.
2
Yeah.
plus. So the first person, the cheerleader, the fan, is someone who just has plus value, but times 2 value is someone who's a teammate. Then you have coaches in your life. These are people in your life, your parents, hopefully, if you had good parents, mentors in your life, maybe a pastor, maybe a counselor,
Yeah, seasoned counselors.
someone who usually is older and wiser. They are seasoned counselors. They're seasoned advisors and mentors, and they ignite your vitality. So the fan catches your vitality, the teammate shares in your vitality, but the coach ignites
it.
your vitality. And so this person has what I would say as a times 3 plus. So they are really bringing value into your life. And if you are married well, that person is giving you that. So that's all above the line. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see what I'm doing. If you're listening, you're going, okay, but I'm visualizing that here. So below the line, the people that are a drain on you are the same people, the opposing fans or the opposing cheerleaders. They're not cheering for you. They're cheering for the other team.
Right.
If you're married to someone
Yes.
who's cheering for themselves and not for you,
Yeah.
you're going to have problems in your marriage.
Yeah.
There is this kind of what I would call a reckless disregard, right? A reckless disregard. And they drain your vitality. They don't catch your vitality. They may see it, but they drain your vitality and they discourage. So they have a negative impact. Then the opposing players.
So that comes down to more of like people in your life that view you as competition.
Exactly.
And they want to be in it to be able to be better or do better or have more. It's
So
you.
what do they do to the vitality?
So they destroy your vitality in the long haul because their goal is to destroy your vitality because they see you as something to step over to get to ahead of you or in front of you or win the game kind of thing, and that has a negative impact.
Yeah, times 2 negative.
Yes,
So the fan has just negative. But this person, what's the last one?
Opposing coaches. So these are strategic opponents and who are measured, calculated, and they fully undermine your life or go after undermining your life.
Actively, strategically planning for your failure
Destruction.
and their win.
Right.
Even if it's not as negative as planning your loss, your loss is not their concern.
Yeah.
Their win is their concern.
Right.
So they want their team to win. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think as a whole, there's very few that fit into that category, but when they rear their ugly heads, they bring such destruction in our lives and can have such a greater impact because they have so much ability to leave a wake behind them,
Yeah.
And
Well, this person has that opposing coach has a times 3 negative value.
impact,
I think this would be helpful for you because if you saw this chart, so when you go to our website, hoperescuepodcast.org, we'll have it linked there. She's nodding. Yes, I should know better, but I don't. But I got a thumbs up, so that's awesome. But you have to be careful in this thing.
Yes.
So it's not, again, I want to emphasize, these are not people
To be labeled.
yeah, or to be hated.
Right.
This is not the people that you love and don't love. These are the people that you allow in your life for influence. Every single person in your life is got to be seen. Strategic people in your life has to be seen on whether they're a negative or they're a positive. Now you still have a relationship with them, but if you have all negative people,
Time for some boundaries.
I wrote this in relationship to anxiety and depression.
Right.
So people with negative emotions have a lot of negative people in their life. And the problem with that is they need positive people.
Right.
So my life dramatically changed. This is not just to pump you up, but this is absolutely true. My life dramatically changed that day I met you because you are a positive, happy, well-adjusted, joyful person. And it really has had, I'm getting choked up a little
Thanks
bit.
for reading that exactly how I wrote it,
Thank
Tim.
you for breaking that. Getting a little emotional, but it really is a powerful thing when you have somebody that comes into your life is bringing this. They're your best cheerleader. They're your best teammate. They're your best mentor and coach, and they have this positive. Because let's face it, pastors spend a lot of time with people that are struggling in their life.
Sure.
And it's not that they are against you, they just are draining you. And so there's a lot of negativity.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
here's what I'd recommend. Check that out on our website, but also here's a personal exercise that you might do. If you're driving your car, wait till you get done, but I would like you to make a list of the people that are on your team and state why they are on your
that's
team.
good.
So make a list. And so in mine, I'm going to put Kimberly there because she'll hurt me if I don't. So no, you put people in your life that have a positive, and then rank them by a plus. So those positive people, a plus, a times 2+, or a 3 times plus. Where do they rank? Are they a fan? Are they a teammate? Are they a coach? And then the same thing, make another list and then write down the opposing team. But here's where it is important, and break it down into that, fans, opposing teammates, and opposing coach. But now what I want you to do is then begin to say, how much time do you spend with these two lists? These individuals. I think it's really going to be helpful for you. We need to have boundaries on people in our life that are draining us. We also need to invite more people that have positive input into our life because they're going to make us joyful. They're going to bring about truth in our life. Those are the people you want to spend most of your
Can
time
I just
with.
balance that a little bit too,
Yeah.
though, because I recognize the value like never before in my life of boundaries. We were not meant to cut people out of our lives.
Yeah,
What we're doing is helping you set up a strategy to measure how much of your energy. We are called to reach people who are draining. That's part of our mission and our purpose as believers. And so
That's good
there's
qualifier.
it's really important that you don't go through this and X people out of your life. A lot of them obviously are family, but this is, we're trying to give you a tool to be able to measure when you do protect your margin, how much time you are investing. We're not called to step out of some people's lives. We're actually called to jump into it.
Yeah.
But it's just being mindful of how much time, and are you protecting your own heart, your own family
And
in the
creating-
process, and
and
still
creating
fulfilling
margin.
your mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to Jesus, story of Jesus and Lazarus, kind of close up with this, but it wasn't a lack of love for Lazarus. In
Right.
fact, when he got to the graveside in John 11, verse 30, I believe it is, it says Jesus wept. Shortest verse in the Bible.
Even he already knew what
Yeah.
was going to happen, and yet
Yeah.
he wept for the loss that the beloved family felt.
He felt, I'm sure he was very close to Lazarus. He felt that loss. He knew what he was going to do, but he felt the loss for these people and maybe even a little concerned about their faithlessness, that they didn't really believe in him. But irrespective of that, the thing is, he really had a heart of love. So creating margin is not about failing to love people, and it's not about taking people out of your life. It's about spending maximum amount of time with people who have positive impact. I have friends who are therapists, and some of them are really worn out and really at the end of themselves. One shared with me not too long ago, a psychologist was a psychologist for 30 plus years, almost 40 years. And he said he had to retire. He just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
That's a lot of negativity. And it's not that there's something wrong. He actually loved those people.
Right.
That's why it was painful.
Sure.
So we'll get into some more next time. Thank you for joining us, Tim and Kimberly, on Hope Rescue Podcast. And again, invite your friends. We got one more episode we're going to deal with, boundaries and margin. We hope you'll join us. Thanks for joining with us today. God bless. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.